Actually, I'm just going to welcome you. Say, it's hard to believe we had Monday off. Doesn't it seem like it's really Thursday? Like it's been just was talking with someone this morning, I think it was Joanne, and I'm like, even though we get a day off, you work so much the rest of the days. I'm not sure at the end of the week it feels like you even had a day off. But welcome. Thanks for coming. We've got some really exciting things for you today. We've got Brooke in the booth who's going to keep us honest. Hello, Brooke. Wave to everybody. We're going to kick off with a presentation on the Employee Satisfaction Survey. Matt Krull has been busy compulating the information and has a great presentation that he's going to share with us this afternoon. So come on down, Matt.
Okay. All right, well, welcome everybody to the results of the highly anticipated Fall 17 Employee Satisfaction Survey. Dr. Borowitz and I had some conversations. There was some, I guess what you call some white knuckling before the results came out as far as the perception of what people felt here. I'll go ahead and preface by saying good news, everyone. It did turn out pretty good. And for those of you who have to watch this for a second or third time, don't call me on my recycled jokes, all right? This isn't easy. So let's just go ahead and hop into it. So for those of you who recall and who were here and hopefully participated back in October, you got a survey. It asked you to rank about 50 different items in both how important they were to you and how satisfied you were with them. And what we're going to go through now is the results of that, which will be integrated into the strategic planning process. And also this report will be available on my website and portal as well. So a little history lesson real quick here. Fall of 17 was the first time in 4 years we have done it, this climate survey. Excuse me. We started it back in fall 11. It was the first time we did it. It's from Ruffalo No. 11, so it's the same people who do our student satisfaction survey, so it'll sound very familiar as far as how strengths and challenges are created. The response rate was good, 41.3%. Administrators got 71, full-time faculty just over half, part-time faculty got 16%, but there's a lot of them. Part-time staff got just under half, same with professional staff, and 68% of support staff. So this was pretty representative of what we have done in prior years, but the overall response rate was actually the highest it had ever been. Typically it was like 33 and then 36 and now 41, so we just keep climbing on that, so good. So as I get into this and I talk about what's the strength and the challenge for those of you unfamiliar again, you were asked to rank how important these things were to you and how satisfied you were with them. In order to be a strength in this form of strategic planning design, it had to be in the top half of importance, everybody's rank, and it had to be in the top quartile of satisfaction. So need to be important, need to be happy with it. On the flip side, how about a challenge? Same story, it has to be in the top half of importance, but now in the bottom quartile of satisfaction, so things people find very important, but are not as quite happy with. Make sense? Goody. Okay, campus culture and policies, how do people feel? First of all, number one strength is the institution does a good job meeting the needs of students, which is nice because that's kind of why we're here. The institution treats students as its top priority, as number two says. My coworkers are committed to doing quality work. Faculty take pride in their work. Staff take pride in their work. The institution promotes excellent student-employee relationships. The institution is well respected in the community, which we'll talk more about later. Each office demonstrates and promotes customer service. And administrators take pride in their work. So really kind of umbrellaing, I like to umbrella themes together. Two big ones that you can see come through pretty clear is people take what they do very seriously here. They take pride in what they do, they care about what they do, they recognize that their coworkers do the same. Even if you may not always get along, the general consensus is we do take what we do seriously, and we care about it. And the other point is obviously treating our students with respect and making sure that we are always remembering that that's why we're here. So just remembering those kinds of things, and you know me, I like to splash pictures in to break up some of the monotony of the letters and stuff and numbers, but anyway, those are some good things to see. We've traditionally seen them, and they continue to be the most prominent things at the college for our campus culture strengths. Now, how about the challenges? Number one, the institution plans carefully. So a lot of conversation can go into that one. There's a spirit of teamwork and cooperation at this institution. The reputation of this institution continues to improve, so though well respected in the community, continuing to improve was a challenge. So that was kind of an interesting combination. So not much in the way of creating a theme, but one thing I would like to point out right away is you're noticing on the first slide with strengths, how many were there? Like 8 or 9, a good amount. This is the fewest proportion of challenges the college has ever had, which is good. It means the resources are kind of going in the right direction, because if you only have 3 strengths and you have 11 challenges, that's a problem. That means your resource allocation is probably not going exactly the direction it should, and some colleges do have this happen. So this was good to find, but essentially feelings of challenge towards teamwork and cooperation, planning, and community reputation. My favorite part is reading what you guys have to say anonymously. It's the best part of this job, it really is. Other people joined me in it, including Dr. Borowitz, and Mr. Fuss joined the fray of reading everyone's qualitative commentary. I would like to make a point here as I get into this. I just know that people love when I take their paragraphs and try and condense them down into 5-worded themes. Again, I know people just love when I do that, so please understand that full comments were read and are respected and are discussed. But for intents and purposes of the presentation today, we just kind of stick to the big stuff. And first of all, I'd just like to say a good solid third of this, just positive commentary. People, the biggest theme, and we see this with the itemized items later, and that is improvement of communication on campus. Generally speaking, people have ranted and raved in a good way that the communication of what's happening and why it's happening and where it's happening around this college has dramatically improved over the last 6 years. And also facility improvements were another one. Comments for improvement, we'll say. Probably the biggest common theme is compensation equity, which you can probably break down what that expression's trying to say. But compensation equity, following hiring and employee guidelines, process of how we hire people and what their responsibilities are, eliminating gossip and addressing harassment. I often say people love to talk, and sometimes being careful with those words that are spoken internally and externally is something people felt needed to be addressed. Addressing job security, enrollment and state budget. I don't need to talk anymore about that. We know how people feel. Understanding the why of certain renovations. A lot of people, why is that done? Why is that done? How did that get picked? And understanding, and people wanting just to understand more the ideology behind some of the things happening. Now, this is a big one, and Dr. Borowitz and I talked a lot about this one. Easing the constant rate of change. A lot of things have changed here in the last few years for anyone who's been around. And it's just people feeling kind of a bit of a fatigue to this constant movement and changes. More frequent monitoring and evaluation of faculty, particularly in course evaluation. That was a specific language that was used. Developing a standard marketing and recruitment plan, like a systematic process by which everyone knows that we're doing this at this time and we're going to keep doing it and so on. And then I believe lastly is addressing any outstanding handicap accessibility issues. Still a few, and people cited them in there, so they were noted. Okay, how about the workplace strengths? My supervisor pays attention to what I have to say. It always feels good when they listen, doesn't it? I feel safe on campus, which is very related to what students had to say. This was a top strength with them as well. The work I do is valuable to the institution. The type of work I do on most days is personally rewarding. The work I do is appreciated by my supervisor. I'm proud to work at this institution. My supervisor helps me improve my job performance. And I believe that was it, yes. So if there's 2 big ones here, it's definitely, and when you talk to most people here, again, there are exceptions to all generalizations. We can all accept that and appreciate that. But generally speaking, it seems like people on campus feel that their direct report supervisor, they have a good relationship with them. Ability to talk to them, bring forth issues and complaints they have, sometimes just closed door venting that occurs. We all have been there. And then the other one is obviously feeling like what people do here is worth something and they feel safe and content in that. So again, those being, again, the top themes, people appreciating supervisors, people having fun conversations with their supervisors like me and Kevin there. It's something that we've continued to do, but it's never really been a weakness. supervisor relationships, but it's something that's continued to grow at the college continuously, which is also related to communication because for most of us, who is our primary source of information? Our boss, because they talk to their boss, and then they talk to them, top, bottom, bottom, top. So, challenges. Again, happy to say these are smaller and nothing new here. Not that they're not important, but my department has the staff needed to do its job well. I'm paid fairly for the work I do. My department has the budget needed to do its job well, and I feel like I work in a positive work environment. Pretty much easily 3 out of 4 of those can be coupled right back into cash flow and the availability to do all the things we want to do to make this the best place we can for our students. Which kind of probably funnels into workplace positivity. If you don't feel like you can do that, you're probably not going to be wearing the biggest smile all the time. But you try, and again, these persist in being issues, and they were very recognized, but those are the ones. Open comments with these. Again, positivity, fellow staff, and relationships. There's a lot of positive commentary of people really enjoying their coworkers, in most cases. Comments for improvement, workload exhaustion, just people are feeling really spent. Again, this is related to a lot of the change and everyone's trying to pick up pace and keep everything going or enrollment declining and mitigating that. Improving morale, better communication of events. I know some people like their heads kind of did a snap jerk to that because communication has improved, but there's still people who feel like certain events could be communicated through different avenues better. Developing and educating on a wellness program. Nothing's better than when people suggest something that you already have in the works to address. And a wellness committee has been reformed to my knowledge, and that's getting its feet under it now. Improving technology in certain areas. RJ, get on that. You know what it is. Expanding professional development opportunities, which we'll talk about more later. Unlocking more doors. Exterior accessibility was brought up as well. Goals. Again, nothing, I'm just kind of blitzing through these, nothing new here, but first and foremost, people felt is increasing the enrollment of new students. Second is retaining more of our current students to graduation. 1 and 2 have always been 1 and 2, and they are for every college across the country. No surprise there. Improving the quality of existing academic programs and improving employee morale were cited as the top 4 initiatives that the college should address. We also asked on other open commentary on other goals. Again, there were very specific things that people had to say for improving morale, like, I personally would like this addressed to make me happier or feel better. Addressing new student orientation and college readiness. We have talked a lot about that one. We administered a survey to all new students this fall. That was aggregated into this and works on retention, and Will from our math department is going to be heading a lot on talking more about retention initiatives too. It's all going to get balled together. Developing fully online programs. Again, something that's going to get talked about a lot more. Again, RJ, I think you somehow managed to take the survey several times or something and put this in. Expanding, requiring staff training on technology usage. Everything we do from portal usage to D2L for faculty and so on. Developing new programs, as I point to Matt. Improving community relationships, which is a theme we'll come back to again later, but again, those are the other goals that people had. National benchmarks, how do we compare across the nation? Unfortunately, I can't deliver the wonderful news like I did with the student survey where we had like 12 items where we beat out the national benchmarks and none where we were below, but still some good news. We did have several items where we were higher satisfaction. Administrators sharing information regularly, the work I do appreciated by my supervisor. Supervisor helps improve job performance, good meeting needs of students, lines of communication, good communication, job responsibilities clearly communicated. If there's 2 words you see in there a lot, it's communication and supervisor. So again, the idea that information going back and forth and people being able to work with their supervisors is good. Below, number 1 was the reputation of this institution continues to improve. A lot of sentiment towards this. And again, the institution is well respected in the community. Employee benefits available to me are valuable. And 4th, even though it's a strength, the type of work I do on most days is personally rewarding. So we love the work we do, just maybe not as much as other people sometimes. And lastly, we asked people, okay, you got these 7 groups of people at the college. It's a Goldilocks question if you remember and took it. Do you think these people have too much involvement, not enough involvement, or just the right amount of involvement? We fell on the national benchmarks median for everything, except for there was one group that the college felt does not have enough involvement with planning, and that is our alumni. Now, we do the transfer and occupational grad alumni surveys. It's reviewed by IE Advisory. It's on the portal. It's on the webpage. But I don't know, sometimes I think a lot of people don't know entirely about that process and what happens with these inputs and so on. But there's stuff going to be happening to address this as well. Most significant positive changes. Okay, so what has happened to us over the last 6 years as far as how people feel? So in order to be in part of this statistic, not only did we have to improve from fall of 13, because I don't know if anyone remembers, but fall of 13 was kind of a rough year, and perceptions pretty much globally with the college were lower than what they were in fall of 11. So to be part of this, it had to either show a trend of improvement over the entire 6 years, or an improvement that not only improved over 13, but also improved over fall of 11. Does that make sense? In other words, these had to actually show true consistent growth. I know this is hard to read, so allow me to just walk over here a little bit. So essentially what you see amongst these top ones are again related to this idea, my coworkers are committed to doing quality work, employee suggestions are used to improve the institution, supervisor helps improve my job performance. That's all of these very much supervisor related. This red line right here is the cafeteria. People are happier with the cafeteria and it's continued to grow. So good for cafeteria. And these bottom ones down here are all kind of related as well. These are the ones that dipped, but then increased again to surpass fall 13 and fall 17. And they're pretty much, I know you can't read them, but again, the word is communication. People felt it was lower in 13, but certainly is at its highest and improved in fall 17. Now, how about the negative stuff? Fortunately, there's really only 2 primary themes to this. One is barely on the map, and that is I have adequate opportunities for professional development. That has declined, but as you can see, that's the yellow one that's barely moved. But these other 2 items, the red and the orange line, are respectively the reputation of this institution continues to improve, and the institution is well respected in the community. Now, while satisfaction is perceptual, most of us know that. So a lot of discussions are had and a lot of kind of immediate responses to what this is and where it is and why it has happened. But I can say more conversation, especially when John Newton comes along and strategic planning gets developed, that plans to address this, whether internally or externally, as far as people's perception of what we're looked like in the community, will definitely happen. All right, now we're done. So I just get to put these up. Positive finds. Overall satisfaction with Kishwaukee College improved compared to fall of 13. And it was overall similar with fall of 11. However, there are 3 specific areas that did statistically improve, and those are, again, supervisor to staff relationships, communications, and the cafeteria. And as I pointed out earlier, the college exhibited more strengths and challenges than it ever has. The proportion of strengths versus challenges was the best we've had. Again, focusing on pride in work, relationships, and making students a priority. Our challenges, again, as you saw me end with, the biggest one is a decreased satisfaction with feelings on college reputation and community relationships. Compensation, staff, budget, workplace positivity persist as lower satisfaction items. However, there's a spirit of teamwork and cooperation at this institution has improved. It's just still, unfortunately, in that bottom quartile. So it's not the bottom anymore. It's like at the 8th bottom, whatever. So anyway, that is my presentation. Does anyone have any immediate questions on anything? Great, I'm done. Have a good one.
Thank you, Matt. I think it's really great information for all of us to see. And yes, I was very nervous before it came out, but I think overall it is good. This has been a tough 2 years. There's a lot of changes that have happened at the college, and the rate of change, that one I thought long and hard about. And I think the planning one, where people said, the failure to plan and rate of change, those probably go hand in hand. They seem to be rather similar, interrelated. And so we'll take that into consideration. How much are we changing? How much are we expecting of ourselves? And I've got a little bit of information. I'm going to share some articles that I've recently read. Actually, this week I got both of them, and going to share a little bit of information about those, just to kind of put a context in which we are operating. I think probably it will be no surprise to all of you, and those of you who work with me on a regular basis know that I do a lot of reading, lots and lots of reading every day. Publications and what's happening in higher education, and so I try to respond to some of that, and the bottom line is we're just trying to do a really good job here at Kish. It's important to me that this is a good college, and for those people who've known me, not any of you, but for people who've known me for most of my life, if I'm going to do something, I said this to my son the other day, if we're going to do something, we're going to do it good. Otherwise, we're not going to do it. We're not going to put half of our heart into it. And so probably sometimes that trips me up because I'm not satisfied with halfway. I want it really well. So I will think about that. I will take that into consideration. But I hope you all understand and appreciate that the reason that we're having the changes and we're changing and we're going to continue to change is because we're trying to make this the best institution possible and do the best thing for students and do the best things for the people who work here every day. We spend a lot of time here, and we want to make it an institution where most of us can stay and be employed and do the great things we do. So understand that. And I found it interesting, the gossip one. You know, I've addressed that. Some of you know that in some of the smaller groups I've addressed some of the gossip. And I find it interesting that other people are not thrilled with it either. And I think it's just going to take us a while as a culture. I do believe, I've said this since I got here, I do think more communication will help mitigate that. Because the more you hear it from your supervisor or me or somebody, the less you need to talk to somebody else about it. But I know that that's the culture of Kish, and maybe at some point it'll be less, and we'll just keep working on it. I think it's respect each other, respect what we all do, and that we all have a job to do. And if you have questions, and I know I've said this, but seriously, if you have questions or you're hearing something and you're like, oh, you don't know if you should believe it, please ask your supervisor. Ask somebody about it, and we can certainly get the correct answers, because we all know the telephone game, right? People don't intentionally say something wrong all the time. Sometimes people do, but it's in the interpretation of what is said. And as soon as it's repeated 3 times, it's very different probably than what the sender, even when it's harmless and even when it's positive, it changes. So just remember that when you're getting your information second, third, fourth hand, that it's human nature. It's how we hear, it's how we communicate. It's going to change. So we'll keep working on some of those things, but I did take it to heart, and I did read every one of those comments. I have no idea. We don't see names. I don't know who wrote them, and I don't want to know who wrote them. And overall, they were positive, but there is some good stuff in there. There really is, and we do take it to heart. I do. I take the feedback to heart, and we're going to try to improve, and we're going to try to change. So thank you to all of you who completed that survey, filled it out, took the time to do it, because we're only going to get better by knowing what we need to fix. So thank you. And we're just going to keep going forward. I'm not sure why they didn't do it in 15. Matt, can you or Kevin or somebody tell us why we missed a cycle?
I think that was the time that Tom was leaving.
Okay, so he was on his way out, so there was a feeling like, what was the point? It just is nice in benchmarking, but we'll... It won't. All right. I'm going to give you just a couple of highlights from the board meeting on Tuesday night. First of all, we shared with the board the results of the Student Success Scholarship. We had a slight increase in course completion rates. In fall of 16, our completion rate was 71.2%, and this fall it was 72.8%. That's not statistically significant. We awarded $120,360 back to our students from the successful course completion. We will do it again in spring. There was some discussion amongst the board, like how long do we have to do this before we say it works or doesn't work, but if we don't see different results, we certainly will be recommending to the board that we don't do it. And then they did remind us that the main reason they're doing this is because of the amount of the tuition increases, and they were trying to rebate some of that money back to students. So we will continue to explore ideas and try new things to get our students to stay and be successful, and keep going forward. One of the things that was in our goals for this year, and we recently completed, senior leadership did a retreat over break, and we filled out, we did a succession plan so that everybody who is on cabinet has a person who's their backup. So if something would happen and someone gets hit by a bus or someone breaks their leg or someone just can't come to work for a while, we know we have a plan. It's really important for part of our AQUIP portfolio that we have a plan for how we're going to back up, and we completed that. But the next step to succession planning is giving everybody an opportunity to say what are their long and short-term goals? What do they want to do next professionally in their career? So we are adding a line, a section on your employee evaluations that you'll be doing that specifically speaks to what do you see as your long-term goal or your short-term goal and your long-term goal, and then a conversation with your supervisor about what professional development or what opportunities do you need to help you get to the next step you want to professionally. There was one of the challenges or opportunities was that people don't see opportunities for advancement. I think part of that is we keep downsizing. So when somebody goes, we eliminate positions or we don't fill them, or so that makes it hard then. It does make it harder for people to move into positions. But I think we have to continue. I'm not going to be here forever. Joanne's not going to be here forever. Bill's not going to be here forever. Kevin, well, maybe a little forever. But some of us, we're getting older, and there's going to be, and then people will keep rising up and people will come behind. So we want to make sure that we're always ready, and we want people to be happy employees and they feel like they have opportunities to grow. And sometimes if it isn't here, if it isn't at Kishwaukee College, there might be opportunities at another college that somebody would want, and that's okay too. We don't expect everybody to stay forever. We understand that, but if we can find an opportunity here, that's wonderful. I want to talk just a little bit about some staffing changes that were approved at the board, and then some that weren't approved but that are happening on campus. I think most of you are aware that Allison Von Ende resigned in December, and her work is going to be, we did a temporary position. Crystal Grundy, who is the women's basketball coach, is going to be helping out part-time in student activities to help get some things going and making sure we keep things on track. I saw her the other day. She was in a room cleaning, and so she's already digging in down there. Pranavalon Ellis has agreed to help us with co-curricular student activities, so things that have an academic flavor to them. Pranavalon is stepping in and helping us with those activities. So that would be like the National Student Leadership and Success, that one, and helping a little bit. We have Phi Theta Kappa advisors, but a little bit with that, and some diversity committee, and some of those kinds of things. Pranavalon is got some release time this semester to help with that. So we're excited to have him in that role. He does a great job with students, as everybody knows, as many of you do, but we're happy to have him helping us out this semester. We hired a registrar. We're getting ready for some Kim went down to the instructional area, and so that created a vacancy there. We're getting ready for some changes that we know probably are coming down the road in the not too distant future with people moving on to a re-careering. So Tina Swigger is now a registrar at our college, and she was working as a temporary, is Tina here? Hello, Tina. She was a temporary academic advisor before she went into this role, so we're happy to have her here and will help take care of our records. This is a really important position, helping with transfer in, transfer out, and all of the grades and coding and all of those kinds of things that have to happen. So it's a very, very important position. So thank you, Tina, for taking that on. Will Michaels is taking on a new project this semester. He is going to help us with retention efforts. From a faculty perspective, and do faculty-to-faculty conversations and data analysis, and just helping us come up with strategies for how we continue to retain our students. I think we all know that it's so important what happens in our classes. That is the most important thing that happens with our students. It's the most important thing in keeping them there. And so it only makes sense that a faculty person would really be helping us to make sure that we are doing everything we can in our classrooms and to provide instructional support and share best practices amongst the faculty. So Will has stepped in to do that this semester. He'll be working closely with Sean Kesserling, the lead academic advisor, to really collaborate and make sure we've got a good program going forward. We're not really sure what'll happen with that position or Prenevolons or crystals after this semester, but at least we have some things in place to start moving the needle now. We have 2 people who've come on in our maintenance department due to other vacant people left, so new positions. Michael Dalen and Philip Wilson have joined our maintenance crew. Just a couple other things that I want to go over from the board meeting. Enrollment. I'm going to talk for a minute about enrollment, and I don't think any of us expected enrollment. Lord knows I didn't expect enrollment to look like it's going now. When I came in that first year, the first semester I was here, we were down like 10.6%. And then last year we rebounded and we were only down 3.9%. And I thought, woohoo, we're on track to rebound. And I don't need to tell all of you that we're back to where we were, close, not quite, but close to where we were 2 years ago. And we've shared a lot. We shared a lot this fall because we really dug. Poor Matt, he's sitting in my office. I'm sitting in his office. We're really digging down in those numbers to try to figure out what was going on. And so I've got a couple articles. I'm going to read some excerpts from some articles, like I said, that I got this week because I think it helps put in perspective not only what's going on at Kishwaukee College, but what's going on in the state of Illinois. We are exceptionally blessed in Illinois with declining enrollments, but also just nationwide. And I think I probably shared last month that it's like 1.5 million fewer students in higher education in the United States. And folks, if people who are doing predictive analytics are right, it's going to continue at that pace. So what we have to do as an institution, as a college, is we have to accept that this, unfortunately, is the norm. That we will be budgeting and that we will have to plan every year for declining enrollments. We are going to work and we are going to come up with new programs and we are going to come up with new strategies, but the reality is that the population base is just not there, nor are the people who are graduating from our high schools right now, the demographics of the people who are graduating from our high schools, they are not as inclined to go to college as previous generations. So there's just a dip going on in higher education, and the prediction is it's going to get worse. And in fact, by about 2025, 2026, they are predicting a really major dip in enrollments. And they're saying this, they're giving us this information and saying, higher ed, pay attention. You better change or you'll be dead. So we're going to change. We'll do it methodically. We will plan it and we'll try not to kill people with it. But we do have to continue to look at what we do, to be responsive to our student needs and to our business needs, and continue to evolve as a college. The good news is a lot of these strategies that are in the literature, that are coming forward with things we need to do, are really part of our goals that this semester we're really going to focus on. So I will talk in a minute about those. I'll go through a few of our goals. We'll post the goals. It was in the board packet, but for those who didn't look at it, we'll put it on the portal so you can see the updates of where our goals are. But one of the things I want to mention, just a couple other things in addition to our enrollment and things that are happening related to that were part of the board packet, is legislative work. I'm really on that this year. Bob Pritchard and I are really friends. He's in a great place right now because he's not running for re-election, so he can vote with what he wants to vote with rather than have to follow party lines as much. And we all know he went against that for the budget. But so it's a really good time for us to get messaging to him. He's on a special committee on higher education, and he keeps saying to me, Lori, help, give me some ideas. What are some things we could do? How can we move this forward? What are some things we could do for higher education in Illinois? So I've been feeding him a lot of articles, and I've been feeding him some thoughts that we have here. So I'm going to continue that relationship a lot for the next year because he's in office through 2018. Another thing that was in the president's report was a discussion on our signing agreement with Northern Illinois University for our BSN program, our ADN to BSN, and that it was years of work. 5 years, Betty? 6 years? 3 years? You're still sick?
No, just a little residual.
Our health dean has been sick, like all break.
Say maybe 2 years, maybe 2 years.
2 years, but that's still, I mean, these take a long time, but it is an awesome agreement. Students are co-enrolled, they're duly admitted. We will do financial aid, we'll do consortium agreements. Students will be earning their associate's degree and their bachelor's degree at the same time. They'll finish their Kish degree a little earlier, then finish up their bachelor's. We met with Sue McCoy, who's the director of nursing at Kish Health, shortly after the signing, talked about can we do scholarships for these students as they're going through, as they're working at Northwestern Hospital. So there's some really good partnerships that are gonna come of that, but those are the kinds of things we have to do. We have to partner, we have to help people clearly see the path between us and NIU. It's good for both of our institutions to keep the talent local. So that is coming. I want to share a little bit of good news, and then I will go into some of these articles. Matt Crow, Director of Research and Data Management, was invited to be part of the Illinois Post-Secondary Report Card Executive Committee. This provides easily accessible summary level Illinois higher education information for approximately 250 institutions in Illinois, and we all know Matt is a master at the data. Kishwaukee College chapter of National Society of Leadership and Success. I couldn't say it earlier, but now I have it. They had they recognized faculty and staff on the campus for their support. Receiving a plaque of recognition were the following: excellence in teaching was Todd West, excellent in service to students was Scott Kawal and Prenevalin Ellis. And Assistant Professor of Art, Miles Halpern, and 11 KC students had artwork accepted for inclusion in NIU's Community College Juried Student Exhibition and Faculty Invitational. And those works will be on display February 9th to the 23rd in the Johns Gallery at NIU. So that's very exciting for our students, and kudos to them. So I gave a little bit of the information that was in these articles, but I just want to share some of the quips. The first one here is from the News Gazette out of Champaign. In 2010, there were 125,521 freshmen from Illinois who entered college, both in-state and out-of-state, compared to this year, 113,710. So you can see in those years, in those 6 years, we had about 12,000 less graduates enter college, either in-state or out-of-state, coming from an Illinois high school. So there's the first dip. A record number of college-bound freshmen from Illinois chose out-of-state schools in fall of 16. According to state data, a total of 35,445 students enrolled in colleges and universities in other states, compared to 78,265 who chose Illinois schools. So that is almost half went out of state. Illinois was again second only to New Jersey in net loss of students, which was about almost 20,000 according to data coming out of the Illinois Board of Higher Education. That's up from a net loss in 2014 of 16,000, so almost a $4,000 difference in the net loss of migrate in versus migrate out. Among recent Illinois high school graduates attending four-year institutions, 46% enrolled in out-of-state schools in 2016, compared to 29% in 2002. This is 16 data. I bet you 17 looks even worse. So this is what we're dealing with, folks. And we talked about the NIU data in the fall. The community colleges in Illinois are only strong when the university system in Illinois is strong. So we have this is what's going on. This is our reality. The budget impasse, the short-term damage was no budget. This is the long-term damage. Last weekend I was at a basketball tournament, and a high school senior from one of our local schools said to me she was considering University of Iowa and University of Illinois, and the first thing she said to me was, well, I'm just not even sure if the Illinois colleges are even going to be here in 2 years. And I said, oh, I can tell you Kish is never closing their doors. I said we might look different, but we'll never close our doors. So I think that's what's out there. That's what's driving this, and it's growing exponentially. And we've talked about this. I'm hearing from Susan Mendoza, the comptroller. I'm hearing from Bob Pritchard, don't plan on a budget for next year. So what do you think is going to happen to these numbers then down the road after that? It's not a pretty picture. And I'm not trying to say this to upset people. It's just, It's the reality we're in and what we have to deal with. And so why are we changing and why are we pushing the change? And I think one of the things that I maybe haven't done so well is this, is share the stuff I'm reading. So what am I reacting to? What am I seeing? What are we? I share it with cabinet and senior leadership, but I don't share it with the college. So I'm going to try to do more of this at the briefings so you can understand a little bit better why I feel a sense of urgency to make the changes and make them fast. Because things are moving quickly. Here's another one that just came out yesterday, and this one came from CBS Market Watch. Many American colleges will have to look differently decades from now if they're going to survive. Predicting 2026 will be a big shift. Illinois sources are predicting it's 2025. So that's, 7 years for us? 7.5 years. Demographics and demand for higher education in a book written by an economics professor at Carleton College published this year, and here's what he's predicting. Demographic trends like the shift from minority or majority white to majority minority. So the population is shifting from majority white to majority minority, and population pockets in the United States from northeastern and the Midwest down to the South and Southwest, and declining birth rates. They're talking, I hadn't heard this before, but they're talking about how back in the recession, people stopped having children. That's the 2025. So, because I had my son in 2005, he's going to graduate in 2023. So 2007 was the big economic decline. That's 2025. So we're all going to feel the effects of fewer babies and this population migration. And there's another issue. There is just a shift in the people who tend to choose college. The growing population of people are not people who in the past have tended to pick to go college. So where the population is growing is not our typical college students. So we need to continue to send the message of the benefits of college and why to go, but that's just compounding the issue here. Schools that don't think creatively, and this is his quote, schools that don't think creatively about how to adapt to these changes could be forced to merge or shut down. At the regional level and at the 2-year level, it's a falling market. They'll need to figure out how they can cope with a smaller student body. Population growth is among groups that have a lower enrollment rate in higher education. So this is our occupation, this is our reality. But now I'm going to follow that up with what I think we are trying to do at Kishwaukee College to go against the norm, that we're going to be one of the college that survives, that we're going to do the things that helps keep us here and keep us employed to keep the students coming. First of all, again, this will be on the portal, but one of our goals was to add online courses. We've changed that. We want a fully online degree. That was one of the suggestions there. I know Mark and Joanne are working on the HLC approval. You have to get approval to offer fully online programs. That's the direction we have to go. Again, the national data shows online programs are growing. So we have to, students want the flexibility. They want to do it when they want to do it. We all know that. So we have to be, and we have to deliver good online content. So kudos to the faculty committee that's working on it and Tim Lockman's leadership. We're going to keep going in that direction. We talk about increasing the percent of recent high school graduates. Our high school populations are not declining, but the demographics are shifting. So we have to reach those populations. Our Upward Bound grant is a perfect example of how we're trying to do that, to reach those different populations. We are working on a partnership, I've talked about this before, with NIU. Dr. Lisa Freeman is a great partner. We're excited to do some things. We had a meeting yesterday. We're trying to figure out how we develop 1+1+2s. So while students are in high school, they do a first year of an associate's degree, 1 year at Kish, and then 2 years at NIU. So 3 years to a bachelor's degree. If we can pull that off locally, that would be huge. It would be a great recruitment tool for both institutions. But it means really working closely with our partners. We've got to map out what we do with high schools, what are their AP courses, what are their dual credit, and what are the other things we can offer, such as the EMSA program. And what do we have to do with the EMSA program to get more students to enroll here to then matriculate into NIU? So we're going to really work on that. Increase retention. We've talked about, that was one of our goals. We've done a number of things. We added the faculty retention specialist. CSD 100 and 101 are going through major changes. They will be required in the first semester. next year. They will follow each other. One will focus on college support services, and one will be, hopefully, this is our goal, is to get it more pathway driven. So then you would take, and this was because Al Edgecombe did such a great job with his orientation to engineering. He's like filling sections of it. Well, that's because students just want to know what it's all about. So they want to explore pathways and courses. So we're going to do more of that. And make those classes really meaningful and help students get support services. That was something, I have a group of students I meet with about every other month. It's the Academic Achievement Scholars and the Phi Theta Kappa students, and that was, even those high achieving students said the transition between high school and college was huge and they weren't ready for it. So we have to make sure that students understand in the first semester what are the support services and how do we help them be successful. Then we have to continue to analyze our class scheduling. When do we offer classes? How do we offer classes to meet our current student demand? We're going to look at some tracks for our career and technical education, one for transfer, so we make sure we're delivering the transfer courses, one for if they want to go directly into the workforce, and we have to look at our gen eds all transferring, that they all have transferability. That's going to be really important. They don't want to waste their time taking classes, and we sure don't want that in the community, so we're going to make sure that what we're offering has transferability. That's going to be really important. Just a couple more. Social media. Elise is in the audience back there. I have heard more from my family members who are picking up on Kishwaukee College stuff. She's doing a great job with our social media. That is where our young people are. That's where our parents are. And Matt is going to share next month the survey from the first semester students. It's the parents, guys. I know I've said it before. That was a survey I saw a long time ago when I was a high school guidance counselor. It came through, and they're the #1 people helping students decide what they're going to do after they graduate. We've got to get to parents. We are going to, the other one is we're continuing. There was a pilot with reducing the cost of textbooks that we've got to continue that. That could be a niche for us. If Kishwaukee College can almost get to 0 textbook cost, or if we could somehow roll it into fees, a small fee, that would be really big because we all know some students are paying at least half, if almost not the full cost of tuition in their textbooks. Go in the bookstore and watch them. And then, of course, our AQUIP portfolio. We're doing a good job. I spent 9 hours reading the first draft of the portfolio over Christmas, and we're off to a really good start, and it's going to be an amazing portfolio, and it's going to show all the good things we do at the college. So while I had to share some not such great stuff, we're not giving up. We are not going to sit here and go, oh, well, I guess we're just going to see what happens, watch it roll. No, we are going to try to do everything we can to swim against the current and get students here and keep students here and do a good job of educating them. And I know you're all with me. I know we're gonna fight this, and we're just gonna really try to do a great job for our students. So we'll get there, folks. I think we can do it, and it's going to be by working together, working as teams. That's going to be the name of the game, and that's internally and externally. Businesses, K-12s, and higher education, they are our partners, and we have got to be lockstep with them. That's what our customers want, and so we're going to continue to work on that. All right, we've only got about 10 minutes left, and I know you want to hear a facilities update. Who loves the paint? Besides me. Great. Okay, so I'm going to give the stage to Kevin, and then Bill's got just a couple of things to say about award nominations, and we'll have a few minutes for some good news.
Thank you, Lori. And one of the things to remember when we talk about facilities, Dr. Borowitz, she talked a lot about retention and all the things that we're going to do. One of the things to remember is, especially for our local students, where they come from. So DeKalb High School, that's a new building. Rochelle, it's a relatively new building. Genoa. And so when they come here, we have to make sure that this is the kind of place that they expect to see. And so some of the things and so if you look at some of the 1,400 classrooms, the desks were from the 1970s, okay? They were these tablets where a student has a backpack and a laptop. They're not going to be able to even fit in there and do anything with it. So there were some things that we really, really, really wanted to do to get ready for the spring semester, and it was going to be a tight calendar, but we really wanted to do a couple things. One of them would be to clean out the rooms in B1400, B2300, and a room and a classroom in the A1400, and get all the furniture out of there, get all the sound panels that were all stained up out of there, and replace it, get a paint job on it, and get new furniture. So we were able to do that. If you haven't been to the B14, the B2300, I urge you to do that. Those classrooms are, we still have some more work to do in them, but boy, it's a really big step, so that when students go in there, it kind of reinforces what they think of what a college classroom looks like. So we're able to do that. The other thing is we had some in those lounge areas, the fire pit areas. We talked previously the last 2 months about what can we do to make those look nicer. And one of the problems in those areas were the fireplaces. They didn't work. They were inefficient. The space was cold because all the air was going up. The gas lines were broken. So over break, we were able to take those fire pits out. We're able to put, and they leaked. That was the other thing. You always used to see the buckets there because that was a glass roof, and you can imagine what happened when the snow and rain hit it. For years and years, it leaked. So we're able to put a roof on that. At the same time, able to keep some of the glass, so the natural light still comes through. We're actually thinking about putting a drop ceiling in, but once the ceiling was put in, we think it looks pretty good. So for now, I think we're just going to hold off and maybe put some, replace some of the lights with some LED lights, make those a little nicer. But really wanted to get that done, and we did. Painting was the other thing. We've talked about it here. So the B1400 area, the A1400 area, the south part of this, in this area of the A1200 and A1300 has all been repainted. In addition, the Wellness Center got a coat of paint. So if you haven't been in the Wellness Center, take a walk through there and see if that's a place you might want to hang out. And now that it just looks a lot nicer. And then the other thing we're working on now are the hallways between the gym on both sides all the way up to the library. So some of that work's already been done, including painting the concrete, the poured concrete that had just gotten just really dirty over the years. And it'll brighten that whole space up and have a completely different look and feel to it. And so we wanted to do those things, and we were able to do those things. Facilities crew has also been busy over break. They were here for a number of days because of the weather, right? And so we had a lot of pipes that were frozen. We had equipment on the roof that froze up that had to be fixed. We had an air handler in the B1400 area stopped working during the coldest day of the year, so they had to shut off the water. And you can get some heat in there and fix it as fast as they can. Unfortunately, we did have some burst pipes in a number of different areas, in the student center, in the C1200, well actually in the C1200 area, in the A1200 area, and out in Kishwaukee, some pretty significant pipes and associated water damage that they worked on. So, but all got that back up and running so that by the time people got back, you didn't even really know that happened. And so kudos to that group. Kind of what's next is looking at some other spaces on campus that I talked about last month in the master plan. And so some of the things we're going to be considering would be to move the music room to where it is now in the A1200 to a space next to the theater and kind of bring that all together. Well, taking a look at the A1200 and the A1300 on the northern side, kind of not in this space, but in the space that's kind of closed down. Is there anything we could do with those hallways to make that a little bit more pleasing and a little bit nicer for the students to pass through and get to where they need to get to? We're actually thinking about what would we do with this space. Maybe this isn't the best AV equipment. This was great, back 2 generations ago, but it's not really, it needs to be upgraded. When something breaks on here in the parts, they don't make the parts anymore, so we have to go to online auction sites, eBay, and try to see if we can find them. It's going to have to be something in here and in the tiered training room that we're going to have to do something about. So we'll be working on that. And then even looking at the former HR space down there and seeing if maybe we can we talked about maybe putting some mail slots in there and creating kind of a mail room. And then maybe some lounge space in there as well for employees. So those are just some things that we've done and a couple things on the horizon. So thank you.
Afternoon, everybody. Just a quick announcement about our annual Awards of Excellence program. The program has been launched. Some of you may have noticed on the portal or on our website that nominations are open. And just to refresh your memory, or for those of you who are new, every year we recognize persons in each of 4 employee groups for their excellent performance and contributions to the college. And those 4 categories are full-time faculty, adjunct or part-time faculty, support staff, and other professional staff. And each year, the immediate past recipients are the chairs of the committees, and they work with their peer groups to come up with nominees, and then they make one recommendation that then comes forward to the administration. The administration brings it to the Board of Trustees, and the Board of Trustees will vote on it. And in the case of full-time faculty and part-time faculty, we also will forward those names from those 2 particular groups down to Springfield, to where the ICCTA, the Illinois Community College Trustees Association, will consider them as they do of nominees from other colleges. The time frame is closing. As I mentioned, this program has been launched for about a week. The chairs will need to hear from you if you want to participate with nominations by February 28th. And then the chairs have about a week to turn around a final recommendation, which will come forward to me, and I will write up a memo that goes to the president, and then she takes that to the Board of Trustees. And it goes pretty quickly, and the Board of Trustees will act on March 13th on these nominations. So if you're interested, or if you know somebody else who's interested, please let them know, and we encourage your participation. These awards go to, and I'll just read it to you, the persons who have made contributions to Kishwaukee College through their assigned duties and responsibilities, also through efforts going beyond their regular assignments, and through exceptional leadership helping the college fulfill its mission. So we welcome your participation. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to take just a couple minutes for good news, but I want to, I encourage you to ask students if, and you probably heard students talking about what we're doing with the space. I've heard from a couple of faculty, I've heard from some other people that the students are chattering. It does matter. And the good news is we found that $1 million in our referendum money, so that we had money that wasn't out of our operations to do this work. We have not exceeded that cost yet. We were really fortunate with some of the bids. Carpet's coming next, some of the carpet, but it is important. And if we are going to recruit additional students and keep students, we've got to look like a college. So space does matter. So I think check it out with them if you're not sure. I know there's adjunct faculty training, and so that's why some very important people are getting up and leaving. Right, Kathy Mershon? Oh, and someone who forgot. All right, so anyway, good news or questions. If you have any questions about what we're doing in facilities or anything else.
I have good news. Joanne slipped to me on her way out.
Okay.
First, I'm happy to report that Tim Lockman has completed his coursework and will be awarded his master's certificate in instructional design from the University of Wisconsin-Stout.
Yay!
And some kudos here to Chase Budziak, who has been, I'm reading his, he's going to be participating in a panel on February 22nd in Champaign Jace, are you here? Are you
No,
looking?
he left.
You're staring daggers at me? Good. Well, anyway, he's going to be in a panel. It's going to be a great job.
I want to mention, I did hear that there are some challenges with some of the classrooms, and we are on it. We are gonna, RJ, get their technology fixed. It's okay, but love it. Don't you love it? So continue to share. Like I said, we'll be responsive. Tell us what you hear or see.
All right, so a couple of things. Real quick, Dawn gave me the update the other, yesterday, I think it was. It's all, as you said, it's been a busy week, even though it's been a short week. We did get our new ag courses approved by ICCB, so now we can go ahead and turn in the curriculum to get the degree and certificates approved. So I just wanted to give some kudos and thanks to Dawn on her birthday.
Oh, yes. Yay!
But also to Steve Dern and Tammy Tigalar as well for their help in getting that done. So, there's that. And our hydroponics project, we had our first crop of lettuce distributed yesterday, so that was exciting too. So
I
we
got
have
some.
lettuce, and we've got tomatoes coming on, and it's a little slow because it's cold out and there's not as much sun, but it's good stuff going.
Awesome. Very good. Keith.
Just to give you two quick notes on some great things that's happened in TRIO SSS. So this past fall, at the end of each semester, we do an exit survey for our students who are graduating, students who are moving on. And so out of the 9 students who completed that exit survey, 7 of them are transferring on to 4-year institutions. Of that 9, 5 of them are going to NIU. 1 is going to Aurora University, and 1 is going to Rockford University. She got a scholarship as soon as she applied for the nursing program there at Rockford University.
Yay.
One of the other things, and also as far as students transferring on to NIU, one of our success mentor students that work in essentially one of our student workers, Amy Esmenda, she also got accepted to go to NIU while we were at NIU during a college visit, so she's going to attend NIU upcoming to start fall. So that's another great thing. And then also as far as us with our numbers, some of the things I reached out to some other TRIOs SSS directors at other institutions, kind of knowing just about how we should maybe increase some of our numbers and working towards that, and that you can serve maybe a little bit more than you have. Right now, we're looking at bringing in about 40 students to our program, and we had about 30 applications as of yesterday, then today, and then on Monday we're going to be doing more tabling, and we had about 10 or 12 students apply today that are interested in our program. So we're having great things in SSS, continuing to grow our program, and our programs continue to focus on bringing students and retaining our students to here to KISH. So just continue to thank you all who are all supporting the things that we're doing in TRIO SSS.
Thank you. So, anybody else? We're a little bit over. I apologize. I know I got a little bit long-winded there, but I think it's important that you all hear that stuff, and we're going to move together. So we have actually, I just did birthday cards before I came down here. So there's 2 birthdays today. Dawn and Matt Ewert are celebrating their birthdays today. And Charlotte Estes, hers was yesterday. I'm a little late. So Charlotte, if you're watching this, happy birthday, a little belated. But anyway, anything else for the good of the order? It's a big one for Dawn. But she said she's going to be here for a while.
I don't remember the other ones, so.
I think she's going to be here longer than me. Yeah. So anyway, thank you all. Thanks for all you do. Have a great rest of your week. Stay warm. The 40s are coming.